Hey YouTube, it's Tom here at Buxton Auto, following up on my series about how to legally get your Texas automotive dealer license. Now, you'll see a lot of people that will say they'll let you buy off their license, make you an authorized agent, blah blah blah. Don't do it. If you're serious about getting in the car business, follow the steps that we're outlining here in this series. Get your license and make the plunge. Last episode on the dealer license, we talked about setting up your business structure with the Texas Secretary of State, and then getting your electronic identification number, employee identification number, your EIN from the IRS. Now you're ready to go out and find yourself a space to rent. And you have two options, really. The Texas Motor Vehicle Department will allow up to 4 dealerships at one place, at one physical address. So in some cases, you'll find what used to be a pretty decent sized car lot, that dealership failed or whatever, and somebody will rent that spot, and they can legally have up to 4 other dealers in that spot. So if it's one of those situations where you see the ad that says, car lot for rent, and they tell you that there's multiple dealers there, that is legal, up to 4 in one address. What's good about that is they're already going to have their display area, they're already going to probably have office space for you, and there's probably some sort of split on the electric and the internet and things like that. So that's one way to go if you want to get started without a big hoopla of buying an own lease and building out a space and things like that. The next thing is, if you're out hunting for your own space, it's all listed in the Texas Handbook manual, which there is a link down below for that manual. It starts at like section 3.8 or something like that. But basically, you have to have a real building. The building has to be in a commercial area. The building has to have room to display at least 5 cars. In most cases, they will make you send them a photograph when you're doing your application of the building, of the display area that is labeled for cars for sale. And then you have to have an office that has a desk, has 2 chairs, has a telephone that's in the business name, and has internet access, because everything is done online nowadays. All those requirements, they are printed in the handbook. They're very straightforward, very easy to understand. You'll have to provide them with a lease that's good for at least 2 years. If you're getting your own commercial property, that's not a problem. Every landlord that I've dealt with has wanted a 3 or 5 year lease, so it's no problem scanning that document. Everything just gets scanned and uploaded when you're applying through the e-licensing system. That link, of course, too, is down below, but you're going to want to read through the handbook once or twice before you get started. Have your corporation, have your EIN number, find a property that is fitting for you. I don't know what your cash situation is. If you're starting up on a shoestring budget, my recommendation is start up slow and small. Prove yourself. If you're doing buy here, pay here, get you a decent book of accounts, and really work to outgrow the lot that you have before you jump into something else with more overhead and more expense. I'll tell you, I did this curbstoning or out of my garage or whatever you want to say for a good 10 years. And then when I became a dealer, it kicked my ass. It was a total lesson in the school of hard knocks. The cost of cars, the cost of repairs, learning sort of the ins and outs of the auctions, finding your niche market. All of those things, they cost me. They cost me a lot of money to begin with. So I would say start out small. Don't have grandiose plans of making $1 million your first year. Small space, small overhead. Don't hire a bunch of people. You can do most of it yourself. Maybe hire you one guy that can help you gopher back and forth to the auction to pick up cars or take cars to a shop or whatever. I was very fortunate when I got started. My wife's uncle was very helpful. He's a retired guy, and he would help me get shit to the auction, back from the auction, pick up cars for me, drop cars at the upholstery shop, things like that. So very helpful. But don't go crazy. Don't hire a big staff. Don't get a secretary. Don't do any of that. Keep it cheap and simple. So go find your spot. Okay? I want to just kind of scan through the manual real quick. So sorry, no eye contact with the camera. Establishing a permanent location. All right, office structure for retail and wholesale environment, that is section 3.8. Section 3.8B, required office equipment for retail and wholesale motor vehicle dealers. At a minimum, the office must be equipped with a desk, 2 chairs, internet access, working telephone listed in the business name or assumed name under which the dealer does business. If you're not going to have a landline, all right, section 3.8D, dealer housed within another business. If you own say a repair shop and you're, Tom's Auto, you can have a car lot and be Tom's Auto and not have to have a separate phone or anything like that. Signage requirements, one of the things that they talk about in, what is this? This is section 3.8E, signage requirements. Number 1 is the sign letters have to be at least 6 inches tall. Okay, so when you're making your sign, it has to be 6 inches tall. They will accept a banner if it's permanently mounted to your building. Display space, 5 cars. Can't park them on the right of way, can't park them on the side of the road, has to be on your property. 2-year lease. Business hours have to be posted. Okay. It says the business hours for retail dealers, a retailer's office must be open at least 4 days per week for at least 4 consecutive hours per day. So 4-hour blocks, 4 days a week. Okay. Read through the whole thing. Okay. Read through the whole thing. That's all I can tell you on that. Okay. The license itself is about $750. When you do the e-licensing thing, and there is a link below for e-licensing, that's where you actually set up your account name and start making your way through the application process. It asks you probably 30 questions, and then it is upload for all the documents, your EIN number, your Secretary of State number, your lease, pictures of office space, building, things like that. And then the 2 other expenses is, one, the $750 for the dealer license. If you want a hard dealer plate that you can move from car to car, I want to say those are like $80 a piece or something. They're good for 2 years. You have to keep a log of what car you put it on. So if you're not going to have a commercial back all that shit up. If you're not going to have your own vehicle and you're just going to drive one of your car lot cars, you can move that plate from car to car. But they do require a written log of who had it. So if it's only you, you're good. But if you're going to let people drive that car, they need documentation as to who was in charge of that plate at that time. Okay? You have to have a bond. The insurance companies, almost all of them write dealer bonds. It's for $25,000. It's a standard form. Costs vary. The bonds are credit driven. If you have no credit, or if you're in the middle of bankruptcy, or if you have a lot of serious no pays, late pays, things like that, your bond can get pretty pricey. As a matter of fact, before I go much further, I would probably shop the price of bonds. My first bond with my great credit was like $420 for 2 years. Had some things happen. Kind of funny being a buy here, pay here guy, but self-employment wasn't always kind to the credit report. So when I went to get my second bond, the best deal I could get was $1,200. It is what it is. It pisses me off, but bonds are insurance, and insurance companies measure risk. So I'm going to put a link to my insurance guy. He's a broker. He's a great guy. He's local here in Royce City, Texas, which is like 5 minutes from my shop here in Fate. And he can shop bonds for you and get you a good deal on a bond. He's a broker, so he's going to check several sources. So you'll buy that bond. Like I said, you'll pay $450 to $2,000, really, depending on what your credit is. When you get the bond, that bond gets uploaded as well. All that stuff gets filled out. It's all uploaded. It's submitted. And then you'll get an email from the Texas DMV that your bond application has been received. And then somebody will reach out with any deficiencies, and almost every time you have a deficiency. They'll want a picture of the side of the building, or they'll want a picture of the sign. Like, they didn't think my sign was 6 inches because I changed my logo. So I had to go out there with a tape measure, hold it up to the letter of the sign, take a picture. They accepted that. They were fine. Those sort of things. They didn't see the hours open sign because when I took the picture of the building, it was too far back for them to read what the hours were, so I had to do a close-up of my hours open sign. That sort of thing. It generally seems to take, now being all electronic, about 10 days, 2 weeks to get your license back. So then you'll be approved. They will email you a dealer license that you print out, you stick on your wall, you have to display it. They call it a GDN number, General Distinguishing Number. Other people call it a P number because they all start with P, like mine is P 160990 or something of that nature. I don't remember, it recently changed. You put that up on your wall, you're good to go. Then you'll want to turn around and go to the Office of Consumer Counseling, what is it, OCCC, shit, I don't know. It's the people that get you your finance license. Get your dealer license first. As soon as you get your dealer license, do the OCCC thing. It's linked down below. That's fill out a little bit of information about yourself. It's basically for a background check. You will get an email from them about setting up fingerprints. If you have a Texas concealed carry license, you went somewhere and got fingerprints, you're going to go right back to that place and get fingerprinted for your finance license. You'll submit that, and then in a short period of time, they will email you back your state of Texas finance license. So if you are not doing buy here, pay here, and you are simply paying cash, doing cash sales, you don't need to do the OCCC. If you are going to do the buy here, pay here thing, you will need to do that. And they have a great website too. It's not very hard to navigate. I'm not going to go through it line by line, but the link is down below and you'll get that done. So if you have your lease space and you've already got your business license, your finance, If you got your lease space, you got your ID number for the state and from the Secretary of State, you have your EIN number from the IRS, you've got your utilities turned on, you got your office space, you are good to go. One thing that is not required, but I would definitely buy is garage insurance. Garage insurance comes from any insurance broker, and it is a combination of liability, like if somebody comes on your lot, they trip over a car stop and on the concrete and they fall and they break their nose, that pays for that. If they are test driving a vehicle, they careen into a family of 5, everybody dies, the insurance pays for that. The hailstorm comes through and wrecks your lot, the insurance pays for that. And that's called a garage policy. What's cool is if you are a single person or a married person and you want to put all your vehicles into your dealership's name, so to speak, slap a dealer tag on it, you don't have to have personal auto insurance because you're covered to drive that car and save a few dollars on your personal insurance because you can eliminate it. So that's what we did. My wife has her own personal car that's still in her name, but all the cars that I drive, they just have a dealer tag on it, and that's how we deal with it. So that's that. That is your next set of technical steps. Sign a lease, e-licensing, where you get your dealer license applied for, buy your bond, OCCC if you want to do buy here, pay here, and I highly recommend the insurance. Get insurance. This is all about minimizing your costs, your liabilities. Get insurance. All right, so there ended the lesson. Go out, get your dealer license. Next time we talk, we're going to talk about figuring out what kind of cars you're going to buy, how the buy here, pay here works, how you can make some profit, how to collect some money, how to get a repo guy, things like that. This is a great business. I enjoy the hell out of it, but it was a school of hard knock for me the first couple of years, honestly, maybe more than I care to admit. But I can certainly talk everybody through all the steps they need to take. I'm going to put my website in the link below, and I'm going to put all the information that we talked about, the OCCC, Texas dealer manual, my insurance guy, all those links are going to be below. If you stuck with me this far and watched the video, I appreciate it. If you hit me a like and a subscribe down below, give me a comment if you have any questions. I appreciate y'all. This is January 31st, so Happy New Year.